Last season, it was billed as master versus apprentice. This season, maybe the apprentice is getting to the level of master. Only time will tell. I'm talking about Arsenal versus Manchester City at the Emirates this weekend. What a blockbuster we will experience. Welcome to Sports Pizza. My name is Edwin Onyebolise. I'm sure you've had a fantastic sporting week. We have a lot in store for you today on the show, from football to tennis, and of course, plenty of local stories. Let's go on a short break. When we return, I'll bring David on board, and together we'll dissect all that we have for you. Welcome back to the action. Sports Pizza, Edwin and David in the building. David, welcome. How are you doing?
Edwin, pleasure to be here as always. I'm in high spirits at this point in time. A lot has been said about what Arteta has done.
Yeah.
But the fact that I'm here, I'm confident enough that we can go into that game and actually be very competitive. I'm really happy.
Are you nervous?
Not nervous. So, I think that's the difference between the Arsenal I supported when I was growing up and the Arsenal that Arteta has built now. Is the fact that every game now has too much on the line. You know, you can't enjoy matches just for the fun of it. Every match you lose, there's consequences. You win, there's consequences. But it's enjoyable at the end of the day.
All right. Before we get to the analysis of this game, do you think the whole conversation of, the referee is biased against us, the Premier League is biased, blah, 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 do you think there's substance to it, or Arsenal fans have been paranoid?
I think the PGMOL have created a situation where, fans can actually be paranoid. I think for Michael Oliver, for example, he has given 8 red cards in matches involving Arsenal and to Arsenal players, but that's by design. But it's just when the situations happen, you cannot. But I consider it as the referees being making mistakes, being a little bit incompetent. But I think when your team seems to be falling on the wrong side of the stick too many times, you begin to form all those conspiracy theories.
Okay, so David, we'll leave the red card. It's in the past. Yeah. Or you want to talk about it?
No, I'll be like Arteta. My manager has said, you already know what I want to say, so let me just talk about it. Let me leave them to discuss it.
Okay, so I'm going into the game this weekend. Who is under more pressure? Arsenal, who have Liverpool in front of them, and by the time they face City, they could be 9 points behind Liverpool, or Manchester City, who are 12 points behind Liverpool, and also in a top 4 battle.
I think it's Arsenal and Arteta. I think they are more under pressure in this situation. I think Man City have concerned, they've resigned themselves to the fact that we're not winning, they're not defending our title this season. But they believe they are good enough to make the top 4 by hook or by crook. When you look at the teams they are competing against, the likes of Chelsea, who are all over the place, Newcastle, who don't have the quality City have generally. But I think for Arsenal, the fact that the margins keep getting slimmer and slimmer against Liverpool with every bad performance, and the problem is not Arsenal losing games now, is because the fact they've only lost twice this season, but they've drawn too many games. Those margins seem to be falling on the wrong side. Those margins are not enough for us.
Will Arsenal regret not getting a centre forward?
I think I sat down over the last weekend and I just did a little bit of analysis. I look at the fact that the difference between Arsenal and Liverpool on the table is 10 goals. Fine, the points may be the difference it is right now, maybe 6 points, with a game here for Liverpool. But it's actually 10 goals. When I broke it down, I looked at those goals. In games against, Everton, where Arsenal plays 0-0, a goal in that game, 3 points would have made a big difference. In the game against, Brighton, when they were 1-1 up looking for a winner, they couldn't get it. I think those are the margins that have determined where Arsenal are this season.
You didn't answer the question. Yeah. Will Arsenal regret at the end of the season, if we had gotten a centre forward, maybe this game from a point would have been 3 points, or from 0 points would have been 1 point? Do you think they will regret it if they don't win the Premier League?
Yeah, title? I think so. I think when I talked about those games, those margins, a goal in that game, the fact that Arsenal, people talk about, some people on the side of Arsenal being goal scorers, talk about the numbers they produce. But I keep saying that in those games where those goals were needed, they could not produce it, and it's because somebody who is clinical in the box. You have Havertz, you have Martinelli. They can give you the goals in spells, but when it's really needed, you watch those games, crunch time, they don't deliver. Now,
in terms of approach, from Arsenal's point of view, should we impose our style on Man City, or we sit back and hit them on a break? What do you think, if you're Mikel Arteta?
I think if Arteta had the full complement of his squad, at least to be able to do what he wants to do. I looked at the first leg, Arsenal mixed and matched, but there were spells in that game where Arsenal sat back and allowed City to controlled the game, and then Arsenal also controlled spells in that game. Unfortunately, the red card that happened caused Arsenal to be completely, reactive in that game. But in fairness, in that game, Arsenal have shown that Arteta has shown that with this squad, he's able to go toe-to-toe with Man City. He's able to mix it up. He's not going to go all the way and just want to impose, but it will be moments to be yin and yang between him and City.
All right, David, let's do a bit of Manchester City. Now, let's cast our mind back to the Chelsea game. I thought Chelsea were poor, like really poor, and they kind of like made it easier for City to play through their press, and it was just a long ball and long balls, and Mamush was fantastic. We'll get to Mamush soon. How do you think Pep will approach this game? Because Arsenal are a very disciplined side. They have one of the best defensive structures in European football. They have quality in defense. Now, they are not going to be open. And we know how City are when they are caught in transition. Very, very vulnerable. Open, soft underbelly. How does he approach this?
I think, unfortunately for Pep, he's caught in a situation where if he tries to control the game against Arsenal, Arsenal, City are in a place where the control, the fragility that we are seeing at this point is not something we are used to. They are unable to even dominate games like we expected. I saw them against City, saw them against Chelsea. The control is not there, but that's why they have to do different things to try to get results in those games. So I think for Pep Guardiola, I think what he's going to try to do is maybe try to, give Arsenal more of the initiative so that let Arsenal come onto them. Then we try and hit Arsenal on the break or try and hit the loopholes they can get in Arsenal structure. But like you said, Arsenal are very structured. So they try to, but you've seen Arsenal when they are on the ball, when they are expected to dominate the game, that's where probably they struggle to actually deliver the telling blow in those matches.
Maybe the difference between City now and City before that bad spell is Omar Mamush. What do you make of his time so far at City?
I think there's a lot of positives for me as for a player that is. So I think he has one thing that he has added to City team that City have been like his runners from deep. Haaland was the only option there who was actually making runs from. So I think he adds that extra dimension to the attack, and also he shoot first and ask questions later. That's one of the approaches to the game, and that's one thing City has also lacked over the course of their bad spell. So I think he will offer more to them.
Are we expecting an open game or a very tactical, methodical approach from both sides?
I think when Arteta, one thing Arteta has tried to do since he left Manchester City is try to dispel the rumor of him being a Pep acolyte. He wants to be a man of himself. I think another thing, when he can remember his first interview that he granted to a popular media house, the first two phrases he mentioned, what defines him is reduce jeopardy and also control chaos. He doesn't like games that are chaotic, games that are all over the place. He likes to control every aspect of everything. So I think for that reason, we are going to expect a tactical game.
All right, David, let's pause from this Arsenal City game and just move straight to the vitality. Bournemouth versus Liverpool. A tough game. Bournemouth are the most informed team in the Premier League. 11 or 12 games unbeaten in the Premier League. Andoni Iraola has done a fantastic job. I don't know if he will leave them at the end of the season. Maybe a bigger offer comes for him, but that's left to be seen. But this is a potential banana scheme for Liverpool.
Absolutely. I think the way Bournemouth are right now, and you watch I think one thing I like about them, when you watch their games against the big teams, the way they approach their game is really unique. They are not usual small team who want to sit back and counter all the time. They are on the front foot most of the time. They will sit back in moments, but the way they counter, the way they press, they press at crucial moments and they are front foot most times. And the options they have, Justin Kluivert is doing some remarkable things. Throwback to when his father was working amongst us. It was fantastic. And also the likes of Semenyo. They have players who you don't feel are the very best, but as a unit, they are doing some very fantastic things.
Who's going to come through this weekend unscathed? Liverpool, Man City, or Arsenal?
It might sound like a sentimental, judgment, but I think
feel free.
But I think Arsenal, based on the balance of what is on play, I think Arsenal have enough right now to get a 1-0 victory. I think we know how difficult they found scoring at this point, but they create chances, so they will do enough to trouble that City backline, which is very unstable at this point. So a 1-0 victory, I think Arsenal are able to do that at this point. But for Liverpool, I'm sure they will not lose to Bournemouth. I think they will have enough to give Bournemouth a game. But I think a draw for them will feel like a 2 points drop. So I think that's why Arsenal will be the one to come on skates.
All right, so from England, let's go to Spain and let's talk about Kylian Mbappe. David started the season with a lot of question marks, his performance, his body language, but he wasn't doing badly in terms of his goals return. But it feels like we're seeing a different Kylian Mbappe since the end of December down to this very moment.
Yeah.
Second on the goal scoring charts behind Robert Lewandowski, firing in the Champions League, got a hat-trick, his first Real Madrid hat-trick. What's brought about the change from the Kylian we saw at the start of the season to the Kylian now?
I think for me, sometimes we tend to forget that footballers are human beings, that they go through the usual things that human beings go through. Somebody who has lived his life in France, who played in systems that were, tailor-made to suit his abilities, and it was like the linchpin and all of those things. So now leave that entire surrounding and go to Madrid. Madrid, the less said about how big Madrid is, the better. But I think for him, he stepped into it, and confidence. Strikers, I've said it a long time ago, and it's a known fact that strikers are, they are creatures that feed on confidence. They thrive on confidence. Once the confidence is going, it feels like everything turns to goals for them. So I think confidence was an issue, and also trying to adjust to the team. And one thing I need to point out is the fact that this good form, a little bit seems to be a period where Vinicius is in and out of the team. Would that be a long-term, a solution for Ancelotti?
All right, David, talking about Vinicius Jr., I'm happy you brought it up. Is it that line of thought? Is it coincidence, or we're reading meaning into something superficial?
I think there's a lot of substance to it. You look at Mbappe, look at how he has played his career over the years. He's a winger who likes to drift centrally, but he starts his run from out wide. Over the course of last weekend, the goals he scored, we saw him at his best from out wide, drifting into the box. So I think there's, Ancelotti last season found a way to make Vinicius play centrally more, but I think in his base instinct, he's also somebody who likes playing from out wide and drifting inside. So I think there's issues that find as players, they want to brush it up and feel like good players want to play together. But when similar players play similar positions and they take up similar areas of the pitch, I think there will be issues.
Will Real Madrid win the league?
Yes, confidently.
Confidently. Yeah. No twists or turns. At some point it was Barcelona at the top, then you have Atletico Madrid, and now it's Real Madrid. You don't think there will be a change at the summit?
I don't think so.
Before the end of the season,
with some of the players that need to come back for Real Madrid, we saw Alaba making a return. I think Alaba and Rudiger in defense, I think they are sorted for a while. If they're able to maybe sign a right back in January, at least a makeshift to give them option, I think they'll be good to go. All
right, finally from the Italian Serie A, before we go to our tipsters corner, David, we have two massive games in the Serie A this weekend. The Milan derby, and of course Roma hosting Napoli. So Inter and Napoli are neck and neck. Who's going to blink first this weekend?
So I think for me, because Inter are going, they call it Milan at home in this fixture right now, and also Milan under Sergio Conceição, they have a renewed belief. I saw them in games where they've had to come back, and that victory they got against them in the Super Cup as well is booster. So I think Inter Milan will blink, because Roma at this point they are very fragile at this point in time. Napoli will do just enough to get over the line.
All right, it's time for our tipster corner, and David, we're looking at two games this weekend: the Milan derby, and of course Arsenal versus Manchester City at the Emirates. What do you have for us?
So I'm starting with Inter Milan versus AC Milan at the San Siro. This is a game that over the last few fixtures has not produced draw. So it's a game where one team must win because of the history and everything that has to do with this fixture. And both teams have gone through different spells. Inter successful at some point, AC Milan had some good spells. But I think in this particular fixture, based on form and how everything is going, Sergio Conceição's Milan, there's a renewed belief, even though the quality has not improved much, but a renewed belief in how they approach games. So I think they will win this game. They will have enough going on just to try and stop Inter from going on another title charge. But for Inter Milan, they will win one of the halves, I think. So win either half for me for Inter Milan in this game.
How about goals?
Goals, I think both teams to score. Both teams are going to score in this game. It's going to be an over 1.5. Over 2.5, because it's 2-1 win for Milan. I'm putting it out here now. 2-1 win for Milan.
2-1 win for Milan. And for Arsenal, Man City?
For Arsenal and Man City at the Emirates, Arsenal are unbeaten, this season in the league at the Emirates Stadium. So first thing you need to know, Arsenal are not going to lose to Man City at the Emirates Stadium. They are going to get a victory, and I think a 1-0 victory for Arsenal. So you are looking at maybe a 1x for Arsenal if you want to be safe, or Arsenal straight to Arsenal win either half. And then for the goals, I think it's not going to be a high-scoring game, and under 2.5 or another 1.5. It sounds bold. I think that's because of what is at stake in this game. I think Arsenal will do enough. A 1-0 victory, Arsenal will be enough for them.
All right, last week David was 100%
on all the calls.
On all the calls. Chelsea versus Man City. Chelsea, you want Man City to win. 1x either half goals. Then Atletico Madrid Villarreal, win either half. You want goals, double chance.
2.5.
All right, so all right, David. Before we go on the break, what's up on the stats corner?
Yeah, so this week, did you know that Fermin Lopez, with his 4 goal contributions against Valencia in Barcelona 7-1 win, becomes the first player since Lionel Messi, to contribute 4 goals in a La Liga game. Messi was in October 2019. To think it's Fermin Lopez that has that enviable record. Fantastic one for Aston Villa. Oli Watkins becomes the 2nd player in their history in the Premier League to contribute to 100 goals. The last person was Gabi Aguela of famed memory. Probably Watkins in that company. Fantastic one for him. Yeah, for Dango Ouattara of Bournemouth, he scored for Burkina Faso International. He makes Burkina Faso the 47th nation in the Premier League history to have a hat-trick scorer. If you want, Nigeria is also on that list. So we're in good company. And lastly, for David Moyes, he managed his 700th game in the Premier League. He now has only 2 managers ahead of him, Arsene Wenger and Sir Alex Ferguson.
There you have it from the stats world. At this point, we go on a short break. When we return, yes, there's plenty of tennis. Madison Keys and Yannick Sinner reign supreme in Australia. Welcome back to the second half of the show. If you're joining us for the very first time, this is Sports Pizza, a sports show where we give you nothing but the absolute best from the world of sport, top-notch analysis, and a bit of entertainment to spice it up. You can follow us on our social media platforms. The handles are showing on your screen. David, let's head straight to Australia.
Yeah.
I'm aware that it's about 21 hours journey from Nigeria to Australia.
The other side of the world.
Yeah. Madison Keys and Yannick Sinner. Hey, remarkable for Madison Keys up against Aryna Sabalenka. Heavy favorites. 3 sets. Held the nerves. Secured her first Grand Slam singles title.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, for Madison Keys, a lot of lessons to take from her life. She broke through as a 14-year-old in the junior slams, and then she looked like the future was bright for her. And to think she's 29 now and she's winning her first Grand Slam is a remarkable one. Her first ever final was in 2017, and since then she struggled to actually make it. But she's been there and there. But it just shows resilience and consistency, and I'm happy for her.
It was remarkable also. She defeated world number 2. Igor Swiatek in the semis and defeated world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka in the finals. For Yannick Sinner, that guy is good. Now, so there are controversies. Next month, WADA will give their verdict. I'm sure it will go to CAS, whatever way it is. At the end of the day, I think we should focus on the tennis itself.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, we'll focus on the tennis. What's happening on court, not in court. Who is going to stop Yannick Sinner in 2025? Because the level of tennis I saw in the final, not even Alcaraz can match up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's that, poker face when it matters the most. I think that's what Alcaraz is lacking. And for Yannick Sinner, the only thing you can ask for him is, on other surfaces, because on hard court he's dominant, 21 consecutive victories on hard court. It's difficult to beat him. The game he plays, I think hard court favors his game a lot. But on other surfaces, once he raises his level again, he will become the most difficult player to beat on top. All
right, away from that, let's tell you that the NPFL resumed this weekend, and we saw some interesting games. What caught your eyes, David?
Remo Stars, they are supporting my prediction of them going all the way. They've extended the gap to 5 points at this point in time. 5 points in the NPFL is a lot. Let's not even use the eyes of other leagues to look at the NPFL. I think for me, if they can keep getting an away victory as well, for me, fantastic. It means if they can turn the corner and keep getting results like this, I think they will just tick over and then get at the end of the line.
Also, Sunshine Stars defeated Ikorodu City. 4-3. Rangers lost at home to Niger Tornadoes. I wasn't expecting that. Nasarawa United defeated Katsina United. Plateau United defeated Rivers United. And David, before we call it a wrap on the show, Nigerian players abroad, who caught your eyes this weekend?
Yeah, so I will start with a player who a lot of us might have forgotten. Finidi George gave him his first call-up and his first cap. Ibrahim Olawoyin in Turkey for Chaiko Rizespor. He got a goal and an assist in their victory over Adana Demis. But hopefully, he'll find his way back into the Super Eagles. He's not one of those players who came and then saw and they did not conquer. I'll continue banging this man's name until when the call finally comes for Tolu Arokodare, Tolu Emmanuel Arokodare, somebody who I think will have a lot of impact in the Super Eagles of the night. Scored his 14th goal for Genk in their victory over Westerlo in the Belgian Jupiler League. And another player who I need to talk about again is Moses Simon. He's contributed 11 goals to what Nantes have done this season. 5 goals, 6 assists. Fantastic for I watch him, and this is not the Moses Simon who I saw a few years ago. He has a lot of more quality in the final third. His decision making has stepped up, and hopefully he'll bring that quality to the Super Eagles.
Hopefully they'll bring this quality to the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Remember, the World Cup qualifiers resume in March. All hands on deck as the Super Eagles look to inject life back into what is a failing World Cup campaign. With that, we drop anchor on today's edition of Sports Pizza. We'll leave you with our video of the week. Do remember to follow us on our social media platforms. Enjoy, like our content, engage our conversations. David, once again, it's a pleasure having you on set.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Edwin. Hopefully by this time next week, I'll be celebrating an Arsenal victory. From David, it's goodbye.
And from me, Edwin Onyebolis here, have a great sporting weekend. God bless you.